Welcome back to The Derby Difference, the podcast where we highlight the people who bring the energy, enthusiasm, and heart to life at Derby Academy. Today's guest is someone our students know from the gym, the field, the rink, and just about everywhere in between. Chris Travis is Derby's PE teacher and a coach for soccer, hockey, and JV baseball. Chris also works with students across multiple grade levels, helping them build not just athletic skills, but confidence, teamwork, sportsmanship, and resilience. Whether he's teaching movement fundamentals in PE or coaching from the sidelines, Chris plays a huge role in shaping Derby Academy students' lives. Today, we'll talk about athletics, physical education, coaching multiple sports, and what makes Derby athletics such a meaningful part of the student's experience. All right, Chris, welcome. As I was reading that intro, I couldn't help but just think about all the meaningful ways that you interact with students across campus. So I'm so excited to get you on this podcast. I know it's going to be a hit because all the kids will actually finally start listening because of you. So thanks. You just got, selfishly, I invited you on to get the listeners.
Thank you for the introduction. I was wondering if you lost my phone number, but long time coming, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And so truth be told, I asked Paul to be on it first, and he said he only listens to AM radio.
Okay.
So I figured that podcasting would probably not be something that he's familiar with. And I figured that maybe you've listened to a podcast or two and it might be better content to actually know what a podcast is.
We've had this conversation, and he said, no, it's going to be you someday. It's going to be you someday. And you're right. His turn dial only stays on AM. So
yeah, only AM.
We'll have some fun here today.
WEEI, AM, all morning. Yeah, I'll love it. Love it. What first brought you to Derby Academy? When you think back to this job, what was it about Derby?
Okay. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I had never taught PE before Derby. Never. I was always on the athletic management side of things. And a good friend of mine that I grew up with in Scituate was the middle school PE teacher here before me. I was working in middle school athletics over at Milton Academy, and he called me and he said, I'm leaving Derby. I want to go back to public school. I want you to check out this job. And I was like, Mike, I've never taught physical education. I would not be good at it. And he's like, meet with my boss, Mr. Daly. It's different here. It's not like the PE that you think of. And I met with Paul, Mr. Daly, for over an hour in August. And I was like, wow, like their program is so unique. We call it physical education in the middle school, but it's really like teaching them the fundamentals of sports, which is like right up my alley. I think of PE of like when I was a kid and you're in a gym class with like 45 kids chucking balls at each other. And then I met with Paul, and I got a chance to meet with Miss Lauren Brooks as well. And I was like, wow, like these are people that have like adapted physical education. I want to be a part of it. And being from Scituate, it's a 15-minute commute for me. And I'd never even heard about Derby growing up. I really didn't. I just stayed, I guess, a little bit south of here. And then I toured the campus. Obviously, it's beautiful. But also, when you have two staples in the program, like Mr. Daly and Miss Brooks, I knew I was in a good spot to learn. I know I was going to make mistakes where I hadn't had a chance to teach physical education before. But also, like, they were willing to listen to me to bring in my own ideas. And now it's just become, year 7 for me. It's been quite a ride.
Amazing.
Right.
What do you hope students gain from your classes beyond just like physical fitness, like learning sport?
I think most importantly, I want them to have fun. I want them to come into whatever setting I am, whether it's on the fields or in the gymnasiums, and know that they're going to have fun. But also like teaching the basics of being a good teammate, sportsmanship. You have to learn to work with others. Maybe it's not your first choice. Good camaraderie. We want to really teach like the positive mindset too. We want to include everybody, but also like remaining positive in the moment where you might be feeling a little bit down on your ability or unwillingness to try something new. So fun, most importantly, but also like we're really big on like teamwork, inclusiveness, sportsmanship, but also we push them to try new things. If you've never played a certain sport before, we're going to be like, you're going to try it.
Yeah.
And you may not love it, but I guarantee you'll get something out of it.
Yeah, I love that about our PE program. You're trying different sports, you're getting forced into the action. Yep. And then once you get up to the middle schools, 5th through 8th, you're actually playing a sport that maybe you've never played before. And I love the fact that, I was talking to Elsie Weymouth about this. She had never played basketball before. And so the girls that had played basketball were teaching her the sport as she went. And then in the spring, she's a very good lacrosse player and she's a really good soccer. And she's mentoring others. So I love that about Derby, where it's like give and take, depending on the season.
It was definitely a huge draw for me when I learned. So I was hired to do middle school PE, so 4th and 5th grade. And then my job is obviously,
blown up.
So
Doing everything.
But when I learned that like they're truly preparing their fourth and fifth graders for what they're going to face for sixth through eighth grade interscholastic. So when I saw what they were doing, fourth graders coming over for a 50-minute class, change it into lacrosse gear that we provided.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is incredible. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. What are your favorite units or activities to teach?
Okay, there's a lot. I'm going to stick with fourth and fifth grade. A couple years ago, actually, it was probably around the COVID years where we had to really adapt our physical education program. We brought in new racket sports. They're not new, but they were new for us. So throughout the entire month of January, we shut down the McKelvey gym and we create 8 racket courts. So half of the McKelvey is doing badminton and the other half is doing pickleball. And we actually come in over break and line them like official courts. So at any moment you can look down at our gym, the curtain's up and there's 8 different games going on. And we do it like tournament style, round robin, double elimination, king and queen of the court. And it's blown up. Kids love it. I think pickleball could be a sport here someday just with the way the kids have just loved. It's awesome.
Yeah. Between rugby and pickleball, we got to figure out how to get these kids involved. I think it would be fun to like introduce some new sports. I know we introduced flag football
that was a
couple of years ago. That was pretty cool. I think the kids have really gravitated towards that. Why is movement and physical activity such an important part of the students' school day?
You know, they have enough stress on their plate, even at the youngest ages. I mean, you'll see me at times down in Miss Brooks's pre-K class with Shay, your daughter, just because they're hilarious to watch, but like kids need to move. And it's something that I love about Derby. Like we promote it, like our teachers and our leadership will be like, go outside and teach, move your classroom. I love seeing, again, sorry to use Benny and Kendall's class, but like you'll see a third grade teacher just open the door and say 2 laps and come back in.
Yeah.
They need to move. They have enough on their plates. I think it's a good outlet. They can come to the gym and just be like, I don't have to worry about math right now or something else that might be something at home. They're coming in to move their bodies, get some energy out, and it's just great to move.
Yeah.
You know? It's good for your...
Just sitting here for 20 minutes, I feel like at the end I have to like move around.
Over.
I can't even imagine being like a third or fourth grade boy and having to sit in a desk or at a table or whatever for 40 minutes.
Correct.
And so I love the fact that I see Gray LeMay every day, just open that door and the kids are just like exploding out of the door, like sprinting around. It's
yesterday
so fun.
I heard her say, I want you to touch home first, second, third, 3 times. And they do it. They go right back in line.
Yeah.
And they probably came back focused.
Yeah.
I also want to mention one of the things that I love about it here. We meet every grade 3 times a week. That's more than most schools that I can even possibly think of. I've talked to other teachers and families, like 1 day a week seems to be the norm. 3 days a week for up to 45 minutes for the lower school, 50 minutes for middle school is just awesome to be a part of.
So what is it about Derby's athletic program that's unique? What are we doing different than maybe some other schools?
Yeah, one of the things that like I'm still really proud of is that we are required sports through grades 6 through 8, right? You are required. It's a core part of what you are a part of Derby, right? Arts, athletics, academics, extras. That's the core 4. And we still require it. And I love that. It also forces a kiddo, like you said, like an LC, who's like, I've never really played basketball, but I'm going to do it, right? Take a chance. You never know. We have so many kids that do that. I think the one thing that I'm also really proud of is how prepared our kids are. Because of the middle school program with 4th and 5th graders preparing them, by the time they get to 6th grade, they're ready. They know the rules. They know where to be. They know how to be coached. Also, one thing is we look the part, right? I make sure that our kids have some of the best uniforms. We are aligned, right? We have matching hats. We have white baseball pants with nice pinstripes, which is hard to say, but, and the equipment, right? Like making sure each year our kids have a new baseball bat. They go out, both style, but also like they lose their pop.
Yeah.
Softball the same. Last year we totally outfitted our girls lacrosse team with brand new goalie gear because ours was outdated. So making sure that our kids look the part. I've had a coach, you've probably heard it, like look good, play good. You want to be on that field aligned as a team with the matching hats. You've seen it as a coach. You sometimes go to away games and you have kids out there in shorts and a town hat and a polo on.
Yeah.
Our kids show up with their belts on, tucked in shirts, matching hats. Like our coaches require that. If you show up to a practice and you don't have your your practice gear on, there will be consequences.
Yeah.
Whether you have to go for a couple laps or maybe miss a shift the next game. But yeah, having the ability to provide our kids with anything they need to be successful is what I truly feel like makes us different, but also keeping strong on that core requirement of athletics, because that's slowly dwindling. And I feel like we'll never lose that.
I love that. And I think it's such a valuable part of this Derby experience is doing things that maybe you're really good at, but then also maybe
Right.
doing some things that you're really bad at.
Right.
And that's okay. And I think it helps you when you're a great athlete, but you're required to do the sixth grade play.
Right.
Or you're great at the piano, but you have to play basketball or
Right.
have to play baseball. It's a humbling experience. It's
Sure
a
is.
learning experience. It builds resilience. There's all these amazing things that it does by not being the best or being the best and having to lift others up as you go.
No, I agree. And I think it's like the inclusive environment. Like you're not judged for being up on, I chaperoned the play on Tuesday night and I saw like 3 or 4 of my hockey players up there as like stagecraft. And I'm like, first of all, I could never do that as a 7th grader. And to see them up there just being like, I know I'm not going to be made fun of, but I'm going to give it a try. And then return, those arts folks will see and support our program. So we all have to be aligned. And it's because of that inclusive environment that we created here that lets a kid get up there and feel totally confident.
I love that. Let's switch gears a little bit to coaching. So hockey. I love the community that you've built around the hockey team. It's just great what you've done with that program over the last few years. What makes Derby's hockey program unique?
I'm going to sound like I'm promoting this program hard, but
you should, because it's an incredible program.
I'm incredibly proud of where we've come. You know, I started here 7 years ago with an incredible coach, Mrs. Anastas's husband, Ted, and he really groomed me for the position. But having a coach that isn't on campus all day was tricky.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I see a hockey player or any of our athletes really doing something that I don't like on campus, I'm walking right over to them. I'm going to be like, tomorrow morning's practice is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But it's the most unique program we offer here for a couple of reasons. A, it's 3 grades, at times 4 grades. Once January hits, we start inviting 5th grade hockey players with experience to get a taste of Derby hockey. So you can be the dog days of February and you can look out at a 6 a.m. practice and there can be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, boys and girls, all working together in the same drill and making it work.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason why we've been so successful, both like wins and losses. Like the program has 5 losses in the last 4 years, which is great, but it's because of the buy-in factor of the kids. You can have an 8th grade player that's going to go on to play Division I hockey, which we have had and are going to continue to have, mentoring a 6th grader that's relatively new to the sport and making that environment on the ice comfortable for them to just go out there and try. First of all, if you're showing up at 6 o'clock in the morning in February and you don't have a ton of hockey experience, you've already won me over.
Yeah.
But then if you see a true leader on our team, and it could be a 6th grader helping a 6th grader, really mentoring them in the corner, passing them a puck, showing them a better angle, like it's just been an incredible program for us. I call it a signature program because of that. You know, we have some great events like the North Pole game, which this year had over 100 plus fans at. The skate with the polar bears is just finished up our 3rd annual. We had 80 families come out, and that one is where our players just go out there with their shirts and helmets on, and they help anybody on our community to do like a public skate. And at times, once again, that's where you see a pal, an 8th grade 6'2" defenseman helping out a 5 or 6 year old. So it's really cool. It's continued to grow. It's a really demanding sport. These kids are playing 10 times a week. And for them to show up for me twice a week at 6 o'clock in the morning with that type of energy and effort is a huge testament to them.
What I've heard from just about every parent that has a kiddo playing hockey is they don't wake up unless it's for hockey, right? Like it is a pain to pull them out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, most mornings. And then at 5:30 in the morning on hockey practice morning, they're like the first one in the car. That's like kind of what I hear all the time.
Yeah. There are a few things that get me out of bed at 5:20 in the morning at this point. Golf is one of them and Derby hockey is the other. I try to get to the rink around 5:50. We can get on as early as 6 if Hingham's not practice for us, but by 6:20, the ice is ours. I get there 5:45, 5:50, and there are kids in that locker room singing, dancing, laughing, and I just like to sit in the lobby and listen.
Yeah.
And it's truly incredible. You have the kids that kind of walk in like, too cold, blah, blah, blah. But then they get in that locker room and it's like, holy moly. Like, it is 6:05 in the morning, but let's do this. So, pretty cool.
Very cool. You also coach JV baseball. Sort of a different pace, different mindset. How does coaching differ from hockey to JV baseball?
I'll be honest. People always ask me, what's your favorite sport to coach? Hockey is obviously my biggest passion. My favorite season to coach is baseball because the hockey season's long. It's very cold. I also have a 9-year-old that's in the rink 5 days a week. So at any given winter week, I could be in the rink up to 12 times. So on the ice, most of that too, you know. So when you get to after March break and the weather turns and you're just outdoors It's awesome. I have the most incredible coach with Mr. Duddy who can just lead a practice and let me just shag balls in the outfield and hang out with the kids. It's just a different pace. I remember that playing as a kid, you'd be so beat up after hockey season and you go to baseball and be like, fresh air, sunshine, just chilling in the outfield. It's just a different vibe. But also it's grade 6 and 7. They're very coachable, right? My job is to prepare them for when they get to varsity with you guys, but also understanding like they're still so young. We're going to push them, but also like, let's have some fun out there.
Yeah, make it a lot of fun. And I
Right.
always see you guys over there having a good time.
Yep.
The kids are laughing, the kids are smiling, they're getting better. When they get to the varsity program, they're ready to
Yep.
go. We had a number of 7th graders contributing to our team
Yep.
that were a 6th grade
Yep.
player last year for you guys. And it's really good, great to see sort of the JV program seamlessly flow into
Yep.
the varsity program. It's not really 2 programs. It's
No,
really
it
just
is.
one
It's
program
like
working
the
together.
baseball program here is like a big family, right? At any given time, you can come over and pitch BP for me, or Duddy will literally coach a third base for you, like maybe even without asking. It's a big family. And even like last year, if you remember, you had some guys sick, some injuries, and you're like, kind of a couple 6th graders come up. And they went up there and did a great job. I think you guys got the win with them being a big part.
Yeah,
So
Roxbury Latin.
we want our program to be kind of just like, right? If we need to steal a 7th grader for a harder matchup, we can do that too. So cool, fun to be a part of.
What do you think students learn from adversity, losing, setbacks? Why is that an important part of sports?
I mean, losing is important because I think it fuels you, right? I still remind myself of how young these kids are, right? They're 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and they are really hard on themselves sometimes way too hard. And I try never to be that added factor in that. I try to coach them hard, but never come down on them. The goal is always to win, right? Like, why go out there and say, like, we're not going to win today?
Sure.
But also handling loss with grace, dignity, being a good sport. Like, we had a tough game this year against Fezzen, and we lost, and the kids were upset. And I'm like, we're just going to get better. Right? Like, we're going to get better from this. Like, they were a good team. They were strong. They had some big kids. They might have some 9th graders out there. We're going to get better from this. Learn from it, right? Learn from our mistakes. Maybe come together as a team better, right? In those moments where the negativity on a hockey bench, you see the sulk, and it's like, we got to get back up, right? That positive mindset is a huge part of how I coach.
Talk to me about the qualities of being a great teammate or a captain.
It's a role that our kids really are proud of because it's peer voted on. The teachers and coaches and administration do not vote for captain. So the ballot comes out and you vote for the person that you think is best to lead your team. And they should be proud of that. If your peer is saying this person is the person to lead us. So qualities are, again, being inclusive, being a good communicator, remaining positive, also like just being kind, right? Sometimes people just have bad days and they don't want to be come down on anymore. Maybe something happened in math that I don't know of. I don't want to see an 8th grader come down on another kid for fumbling a pass. Keep them motivated. But also, like, sometimes they handle the discipline stuff for me. The hockey team rides the bus often without me. I need those leaders, those captains to be there to help when I can't.
Yeah.
And that's a quality you want. You want the leaders to step up when you're not around or nobody's looking. I think we do a great job of that.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. I always think about like our baseball locker room.
Right.
For the most part, it stays pretty darn clean considering it's 11, 12, and 13-year-old boys whose rooms are probably like a bomb went off, complete disaster. And our locker room for the most part stays clean. And when it doesn't, stay clean, there's some consequences, but then like the captains really step in and maintain that, that standard.
I would like to think that a captain can walk into any of our locker rooms, male or female, and see maybe a mess or mud on the ground because someone, and they're comfortable being like, hey, we're going to clean this up before we go out there because if the coaches see it, we're going to be in trouble. Yeah. But also like, this is our space. Let's keep it, clean and tidy and respectful.
If you could attend any sporting event, what would it be and why?
I'm going to cop out and give you 2. The easy answer is the Masters. Golf has become my second love of life. And it's hard, as you know, with 2 kids that are very busy to get out. The Masters on a Sunday would be the specific answer. I don't want to go to a practice round. I want to be there on a Sunday to hear the roars of the back nine. But people don't know this. I love tennis. I would love to go to Wimbledon. I've talked to Mrs. Galco a lot about making that happen. I'm going to start with the U.S. Open, which is a quick train ride to New York. And then Wimbledon will happen for me someday.
All right. Mark it on the calendar. What is something students might be surprised to learn about you? Besides I guess you kind of gave an answer, your love for tennis, but
no. Well,
give me your number 2.
I first thought about this. I thought people just assume I've always been a PE person. Never. So, and then the funny thing is when I got hired here, somebody who was also in our apartment had to leave for personal reasons. And all of a sudden they were like, hey, we need you to do kindergarten, third grade. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I got to partner with Mrs. Marksco and Mrs. Smith, and we still laugh about my years doing kindergarten PE. So that is definitely up there. I think the big one for me is, again, people just assume that like my biggest role is athletics, but I'm very proud of being a sixth grade advisor.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of my day. I've had 5 years with the most amazing person, Miss Allie Moore, and our advisory group has been together. It's probably the most fulfilling part of my job. The relationships you build, the growth between the relationship of a kid from September and when they leave us in June is incredible. And some of my closest students I've ever had came from that advisory role. I hope it never changes, and it's been awesome.
What keeps you motivated year after year to continue coaching, continue teaching, continue advising?
Yeah.
What's the motivating factor?
I think that the big one is when students reach out to you in the moment, you don't really realize the impact you might have, right? When a kid says thanks. But when a kid reaches out to you via email or even like Instagram and says, check out this goal,
Yeah.
or I made varsity, or I'm super proud to commit to here, I kind of sit back and I'm like, wow, I had that kid in sixth grade
Yeah.
on a bus to park school,
Hmm.
and now they're going to play hockey at BU. That is definitely it. I also think a really important part that I've learned as I've gotten older is to set time aside when the school year's over with my family and just like the craziness of decompressing. I didn't do a great job of that when I was younger. So what we started doing is the month of July, you won't hear from me.
Yeah.
The away message goes up.
Yeah.
People know if it's important, my phone is on, but the month of July, I focus on myself and my family. And it's a great time to reflect and really think about all the important things that happen throughout the year, how I can learn personally, but also taking the moment that I have 2 young kids that are a really fun age. I've been with my wife since I was 15 years old, and we still have a ton of fun. We love Situate, obviously the best town in the South Shore, going on the boat, fishing, taking that time to just like live in the moment. And then in August, I'm like, all right, I got to start getting ready for athletics.
Yeah.
Meetings are coming, the fields need to get done, equipment needs to be pulled out. So I think it's really important. I try to remind the kids of this because they're so busy.
So busy.
Right? Like they leave here at 4:15 and they're usually on their way to something else. And I try to remind them like, it's okay to take a night off. It's okay to take a week off.
Right.
Or even a month off. You're not gonna get behind the ball.
No.
That's
no.
just as important up here as it is out in the field.
Yeah. Some of the 9-year-olds that play
Right.
sports with Kendall, they're nonstop,
No.
12 months. And I'm like,
You
I
got
just
to.
can't. I can't.
I worry about the burnout factor. They're so busy and they've been put so much pressure on them from what other things have been put on them that they shouldn't at this age. So I do think it's important that you just be a kid too.
Yeah. And that's why I love our PE program,
Right.
right? Because you're focusing on different sports, for a kid that's only lacrosse. Well, in your PE program, they're doing soccer, they're
Yep.
trying flag football, they're trying pickleball, they're trying all these other sports.
Yep.
And maybe they find a second passion
It's-
where you sort of avoid burnout because
Yeah.
maybe now they have a fall sport.
I
that
think
they can-
it's such a good point. I'm glad you touched on that. Like our biggest goal, I would say from grades 4 through 8 are to expose our students to as much things that we have. And it's really great when a family reaches out and said, hey, so-and-so said he really wants to do town flag football. Thanks for whatever you did. He would never have done that before. So-and-so would like to take up pickleball now because she throw as much at them as we can control and then see if something sticks at home.
Last question.
Yep.
In your words, what is the Derby difference? What makes us different?
I truly believe in this is a community, right? We're very small. Like I said, like you can see a teacher step into a pre-K class like I do occasionally, and then you might see me coach a varsity baseball with you. That's across the board. People are willing to kind of do anything for the betterment of our students. I do think the close-knit community is rare. I also love the history and tradition of the things that we have here, like field day that's coming up in a few weeks. We have some really cool historical things that I'm still learning about now that dates back to the 1700s that we still do now. And it's cool to be a part of.
Very cool. Talk about field day. You got like
Yeah.
30 seconds because this was like one of the
sorry,
main
yeah.
reasons that I brought
We're
you
gonna
on, and then we
promote.
completely
No,
forgot about it. So promote it. What's
so-
field day for people
Yeah.
that are just tuning into the
So,
podcast that have never heard about it? What
sure.
do we do?
Friday, May 29th, grades 4 through 8 will compete for the Field Day Cup. It is the team toppers versus the team derbies. They get assigned their teams in 4th grade, and we adjust over the years if we have kids that come and go. But they can compete up to 9 events, and they get to select the events of themselves. Some are co-ed, some are individual, and the goal is to win as many points as you can for your team. And then at the end of field day, there's a little pause where Mr. Andrioli and Mrs. Galco calculate those results. Mr. Daly's sitting there waiting for the results, and he's literally handed it something that says this year's field day winner goes to whoever. They get their cup, they get to do a victory lap. It's one of the cooler events because the history is there. It's been going on forever since even the old campus, but also like how much the kids care. But we also really, really emphasize like it's a competitive day, but it's not something that sportsmanship should be forgotten about, or a community event that should like put us all together. Right. And yes, there's gonna be a winner and loser, but at the end of the day, the series is very close, and it's gonna stay that way. So it's if you're around, come out. It's awesome.
Amazing. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I'm out there for the egg and spoon race. Are there a few other events? What's your favorite event?
So that's a great point. And I love the fact that like all the stations are led by teachers. So you can have a teacher that you don't even know explain what you want. We bring in a gigantic inflatable obstacle course, which has been a fan favorite. The highlight for me is always at the end of the day, everyone that is in attendance goes over to the lower field and they sit up on the hill on the Adirondack chairs, and the 2 8th grade teams come together on the field for a tug of war. Best of 3. And usually by then field day has already kind of been settled, so the points don't matter. But to see these kids, 20 versus 20, pulling and pulling is a great way to end it.
It is a very cool day. So, all right, Chris, well, thank you very much for joining me. That wraps up this episode of The Derby Difference. A big thank you to Chris Travis for joining us and sharing his perspective, both as a PE teacher and a multiple sport coach here at Derby, also a 6th grade advisor. Through his work in the gym, on the field, at the rink, on the baseball diamond, in the classroom, Chris helps students develop habits and values that extend beyond athletics. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe for more conversations with faculty, students, alumni, and community members who make Derby Academy such a special place. Until next time.